ask Mrs. Koko Kalango to talk about Port Harcourt as the UNESCO World Book Capital for 2014. Mrs. Kalango, please.
Good afternoon, Governor Mechi, Commissioner for Information, Ibim Semenitary, Ogaga Ifodo, who I'm pleased to meet at last, and all the distinguished ladies and gentlemen here. As the Commissioner for Information has said, my task is simply to throw light on the Port Harcourt World Book Capital project, to explain to you the programs which we plan for that year, and to get you on board as ambassadors of this project. So I would also step aside and control my PowerPoint presentation from there.
I hope I can speak as loud as Ibim did. I'd like to first talk about our logo, which is on the top right. You can see our logo has two dolphins. And then people ask, why dolphins? For several reasons. Dolphins are warm and friendly, just like the people of River State. Dolphins are very cerebral. They're meant to be one of the most intelligent mammals, and it's about books, it's about the intellect, it's about education, the World Book Capital project. And the dolphins are springing out of what could be rivers, like River State or an open book. And in the little circle, it's not very visible, is the word possibilities, which is our, in a broader form, it's our theme for the World Book Capital, books, windows to our world of possibilities. And it's also a theme of the state. So that's the logo. Now, what is the UNESCO World Book Capital? People ask over and over again. What it is, and I'm quoting UNESCO, is an exclusive symbolic acknowledgement of the best program dedicated to books and reading. Now for this nomination, we've got congratulations from different quarters, as you would expect. Coming from the office of our president, we have, he says he welcomes UNESCO recognition of our collective effort to revive the reading culture. He'd like to congratulate Port Harcourt for being World Book Capital in the year of Nigeria's centenary. The governor of River State and the chairman, Nigeria Governors Forum, says he believes that Port Harcourt is ripe and ready to be the first World Book Capital in Sub-Saharan Africa. From the office of the UNESCO Director General, Irina Bokova, she extends her congratulations to the city of Port Harcourt for the quality of its proposed programs, which provide for extensive public participation and aims to develop reading for all. And finally, Professor Wole Soyinka, Nobel laureate, congratulates the city of Port Harcourt for the honor which he says it has brought to not just Nigeria, but to the continent of Africa. Now let's have a little bit of background about this initiative. It was kicked off by UNESCO in 2001, and in the same year, the General Conference, as it were, formalized the nomination. Now, the nomination is made by a selection committee, and for the first 3 years, in 2001, 2002, and 2003, the committee sat down and picked cities of the world to be World Book Capital. But from 2004, it was open to public bid. So what it means is that they announce 2 years in advance, and invite cities of the world to apply, as it were, to be World Book Capital. And the city that is chosen holds the title for 1 year, from April the 23rd, which is UNESCO World Book and Copyright Day, to April 22nd of the following year. And in that year, the nominated city is expected to deliver the programs in the bid is submitted to UNESCO. So Port Harcourt will be World Book Capital from April 23rd, 2014 to April 22nd, 2015. The selection committee, as we've said before, is actually made up of representatives of 4 organizations: UNESCO, the International Publishers Association, the International Federation of Library Associations and Institutions, and the International Booksellers Federation. I just want to run you through the cities that have been World Book Capital in the past. As I said, in the first 3 years, it wasn't by competition, it was just simply by nomination. So we had Madrid in Spain, Alexandria in Egypt, New Delhi in India, and then when it was open to public bid in 2004, we had Antwerp in Belgium, Montreal in Canada, Turin in Italy, Bogota in Colombia, Amsterdam in the Netherlands, Beirut in Lebanon, Ljubljana in Slovenia, Buenos Aires in Argentina, Yerevan in Armenia, and right now the title is with Bangkok in Thailand, and next year it comes to Port Harcourt. So every year, as we've said, UNESCO puts out a call for entries and gives us guidelines. One of the important guidelines is that the programs proposed should be able to touch on the life of the host city, it should touch on the country, and also have rippling effects to the continent, etc. Now this year we had 11 cities bidding. As the Commissioner for Information said, cities like Moscow, city from Poland, from Azerbaijan, Incheon, Lyon, and even Oxford in the United Kingdom. Now you may ask, how come we don't have cities from the Americas? That's because the title is rotated around continents, and in some years, some continents are excluded because they've either had the city hosted the World Book Capital City not too long before. Now, Port Harcourt won, and according to the selection committee, Port Harcourt was nominated World Book Capital 2014 on account of the quality of its programs, its focus on youth, and the impact it would have on improving Nigeria's culture of books, reading, writing, and publishing to improve literacy rates. Now, what makes the Port Harcourt nomination so significant is that Port Harcourt is the first World Book Capital in Africa to be nominated by public bid. We are the first ever World Book Capital in Sub-Saharan Africa, and we're the second World Book Capital in Africa after Alexandria. And our vision, Port Harcourt's vision, is to be the best World Book Capital ever. I thought we should look a bit at the educational statistics, the literacy statistics from Nigeria, just to understand, the challenge we'll be dealing with, and to see how the World Book Capital project presents a solution, part of the solution to this issue. Now we have literacy rates. These ratings are from the UN. In 2010, they placed our literacy rate in Nigeria at 61%, for adults, and for the youth at 72%. These may be even a bit high, but I won't go into that. Now, the exam results. If we take the NECO exam results of 2012, we see that under 34% of those who sat for the exams passed in English. And then we also have the challenge of out-of-school children that are numbered at about 10.5 million in Nigeria, according to a UN statistic. But there is hope. The UN also predicts that by 2015, according to the plan of the Millennium Development Goals, we should expect an adult literacy rate in Nigeria of between 60 and 69%, and a youth literacy rate of between 70 and 79%. And if the Education for All program is followed. Now, the Port Harcourt World Book Capital project will be complementing the education efforts of the formal sector. Now, education, we can divide education into formal education, informal education, and non-formal education. So we would fall into the second two categories, informal and non-formal education, still very important. At the beginning, just to be able to see what sort of impact we've been able to make, at the beginning of our World Book Capital year, or before we kick off, we'll take a baseline survey, and then there are measures in place, there are plans in place for measurement and evaluation of our programs at the end. if I had to talk about our whole programs, I'll stay here the whole day, so I won't take too long. But just to say that we'll kick off with a week of exciting programs, one of which will be the handover from Bangkok to Port Harcourt. We expect our president and our governor and other important personalities, both from Nigeria and abroad, to be there in that week to read to children, to interact with them, to open up our, the new libraries will be opening for that year. And we also plan to open the Port Harcourt Book Center, which is planned as a modern library facility that also has a discount bookshop, a theater, and an event facility. We also plan an international arts and culture book exhibition where we will invite the diplomatic representatives in Nigeria to take stands and just display their literature, etc., in the World Book Capital. So that's the week that we begin. And then we have year-long activities, which we've divided into groups. We have activities for children and youth. And if you see in our listing, we have something for every cadre of children and youth. For instance, we have the reading tree, which is a graded reading scheme that children in primary schools will read. And we have book clubs at that level as well. So that's for primary age children. We have an exciting project called the Walking Book, which should engage students at the junior secondary level from around Nigeria in creating a communal story that would highlight the sights and sounds of their states and their cities to mark Nigeria at 100. We'll have book clubs at secondary schools and an essay competition. Then we have, so the first group is for programs for children and youth. Then we have another group which are programs for writers and the arts. Part of it is the Port Harcourt Book Festival, which is the same thing. Well, it used to be called the Garden City Literary Festival. We've just changed the name to the Port Harcourt Book Festival. We have a program for writers in residence in that year. Every month of that year, we would highlight a book. So for the 12 months, we'd have a different book that would generate conversation and debate on the internet, on television shows, radio shows, in schools, in book clubs. We plan shows for television and drama performances. We also have library and community development programs. Apart from the Port Harcourt Book Center, which I've talked about, the government is planning to set up more public libraries in Port Harcourt to complement the hundreds of libraries that already exist in the newly renovated schools. And these libraries, in these libraries, we have programs, to drive traffic to the library, programs to encourage literacy in the society. So we'll be looking at literacy programs for out-of-school children and for adults as well, etc. Then we have sustainability and legacy part of activities, and that has to do with trainings. We're going to be training hundreds of volunteers and teachers to run book clubs, to run the reading tree, because what we want to do, our plan is that after that, the World Book Capital Year would simply be a springboard from where there would be a revolution in reading and literacy and education as a whole. So we are going to do what we can to ensure that after that year, all the programs that we have run actually multiply in the city. So we have more book clubs, more schools participating in the reading tree, etc. We also plan a memorial square in honor of Ken Saro-Wiwa and to remember the great writers that Nigeria has produced. At the end, we'll round off as well with a week of activities, which includes recognitions and rewards for the best schools running book club, the best volunteers, the best different things, which will just be rewarding. The best corporate organization that has really supported the program, etc. We'd also have a symposium where the intellectuals can sit down and brainstorm on how we can consolidate on what the gains of the World Book Capital Year and how we can move forward. And then we'll hand over to the next World Book Capital. Now, some of the benefits that this program affords us, not just as a city, but as a nation and indeed the continent, is that it shows that Port Harcourt is not just, should not just be well known for oil, but that Port Harcourt is a place where education is taken seriously, that we have a rich culture in the arts and in producing, given the world writers like Elechi Amadi, Gabriel Okara, Olarotimi, etc. It would also boost business, particularly in the book chain. As World Book Capital, we believe that would have created an atmosphere where business in the book industry can boom. So we would look to see more authors, more publishers, more bookshops open in the city, and it should have a spiraling effect on other areas of the economy. Now, because this project is mainly associated with education, and when we encourage reading, what happens is that the dissemination of information is easier, then and development is made quicker because people can have information easily on all other areas of life. So we expect, to see improvement in literacy, as we have said. It also translates to tourism benefits, just like in the examples of past World Book Capitals. And as the Commissioner for Information said, Port Harcourt is an attractive destination to people from all over the world. You can see in that photograph, you have foreigners there at our book fair in Port Harcourt. So we do expect to welcome more people into the city. The World Book Capital Project 2014 also presents an incredible opportunity for us to rebrand Nigeria through literature, which is an area in which we have very strong, we've left strong marks on the world. For instance, our beloved Professor Chinua Achebe, the author of perhaps Africa's most popular novel, Things Fall Apart, late Professor Achebe. We have the first person of African descent to win the Nobel Prize for Literature, Professor Wole Soyinka, and of course their younger counterparts like Ogaga Ifodo, who's here with us, Chimamanda Adichie, etc. But what is also very significant is that the World Book Capital project should impact not just the city of Port Harcourt, but the Niger Delta, Nigeria, and indeed, I dare say, the African continent. I would end with calling us to partner. We appreciate everyone here. We'd like you to get on this project. We'd like to hear from you. We invite you to visit our website, www.portharcourtworldbookcapital.com. You may be able to help in one way through your expertise, through your advice. You may have books you want to donate to us, etc. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you very much for your attention.